Hello. Hey, we are just working through a couple opportunities today and thought we'd use the NDS program to look at some different commodity prices and maybe use some of the tools in NDS to help figure out maybe what's the best buy here. So the question always is how do we do pricing? How can we look at different pricing of different component pricing? And I pulled up a diet, and I'd like to just kind of look at this diet real quick. So here are some of the farm costs, and these are the updated costs that I just got in today from, contract opportunities. And so looking at that and trying to figure out, of course, we need to really make sure that we've got our milk price in with our current milk pricing. And if that's not done, you can go back to a different tutorial and look at how that's done, going through farm structure and that idea. And then the whole cost area, looking down through this whole, making sure our costs are put in here. And here's our cost per pound of dry matter. At 60 pounds of dry matter, this is what it's costing our feed a cow a day. And so we always look at some of these production efficiencies and trying to figure out not only how much milk this guy is making, but are we making money and how can we make more money or get the dairyman more return on investment or income over feed cost. So anyway, we're going to look at this and just play around with it. What I'd love to do is take this right over to the optimizer now. And what I've done is I've refreshed my optimizer. So right here should be my present diet in here. And I was looking through just to make sure it looks pretty darn good. And so for today's scenario, what I'd love to do is just see what I can do on different commodities. So what I can do coming down through here, what I probably need to do first is go into settings and just show you a couple of quick opportunities here. I have this set up on the nonlinear optimizer. Now there's a lot of discussion still about shadow pricing. And if you look right in here, if I go to the linear optimizer and bring the same diet into the linear optimization scheme, which basically NDS does, when you're in the nonlinear, NDS runs the linear and the nonlinear simultaneously. But the old linear optimizer was you setting up the parameters up here and just telling it, hey, I want my crude protein between 15, oops, excuse me. I got to get out of here first. So now what I can do is I can say, hey, I want it between 14.5 or 14.6 and 16. And then the linear optimization was just going around, oops, I better do this 16.5 for today. So now the linear optimizer is just hitting the targets, and you really should set up mins and maxes. And I don't run the linear optimizer very often because the fact is if I put it in nonlinear, I get linear and nonlinear at the same time. So the idea is if it's clicked into linear in settings right there, it will give you the old shadow pricing, which meant where is this a good buy within this ration? So the way you would look at some of this would be, your wheat straw would be priced in at, $119. There are just some real wacky parameters in here. I'm not going to spend much time because this is an old system driven off crude protein and NELs. And all the NELs are generated from stuff you put in the model anyway. But what I'd love to do is get over to the nonlinear optimizer. And then there's tutorials on how to set this up in the right way. We don't want to go there for today. But here again, it runs through this linear and then through the nonlinear. And when you set these parameters up, you can set these here. So every time you open them, this will be your default. Same thing down here in the nonlinear portion. So what I really am interested in doing is checking to see how can I balance this diet on cost and how can I make some changes and what's available to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down through here and I'm going to hold pretty much the rest of the diet in check here, and I'm just going to fix the min and the max to the current diet. So what this is doing is it's taking everything that I had checked, all the forage portions, and I'm going to hold those constant. And one other thing I probably should do is this is our molasses mix that has our mins and vitamins in it too. So I'm going to hold that constant too. So now that I've done that, I'm asking the diet, these cows, high group cows, making 105, 107, 101, depending on what the intake is. They've been pretty steady, even though we've had a atrociously hot summer. But what I can do is I can let this run and optimize here and just let the computer help me do some math. I'm getting optimal solutions. The diet was there to begin with. So what I can do now is let this fill. It's coming up with 12 optimals. I've asked it to do minimize the total ration cost to maximize milk production. And being that I'm trying to get 100 pounds of milk, it's taken a little more time than usual, but we'll let it run through here. Coming through with a couple suboptimals, but many optimals. And here's our solutions. So what I might do is just take this and now highlight this, and I could scoot down through here and look at it, but I can do this and go through and say, okay, in our area here, it's taking a little more soy plus than it did. It wants less cotton. It looks like it's taking pretty much the same amount of canola and soy through all of our parameters and soy hulls. It looks like it would take a few more here. So what I can do here is click this, take this into solution, and go ahead. And there's some little shortcuts you can do here that are kind of helpful, kind of fun. So this is now going to become the diet. What I'm going to do is just catch a version of that and not even look at it yet. But what I'm going to do is then go back to the optimizer, and I'm going to take out the cotton. If I double click right here, okay, cotton will no longer be involved. So what I might need to do is up my meal a little bit, up my soy hulls or my soy meal. I'm going to up it a little bit. Up the soy hull pellets to 4 and take the plus up to 3.6. And so leaving everything the same, I'm going to go ahead and optimize again and let it run and let the computer come through here and do this. So again, we've got some optimal diets. All I'm doing is letting it do the math for me. And at any point in time, using the hunt and peck method, I can do that too and run a comparison. So we'll do that in a minute. Let it finish doing its math here. Again, I've chosen for minimize total cost of the ration and maximize milk production. Inside of the settings, inside of the parameters, you could have chosen any other thing you wanted there. So again, we can come down and look at this real quick. A 16-4 diet. Our NDFs are good. Our PE NDF, my minimum is 16. We're all above there. We could have a discussion about that too. Again, a different YouTube video if you want to go watch it. Trying to hold my starch down. It's not having a problem. So you can see the parameters are all lining up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and take this in here and bring that into solution again. So now I have the original save diet. I brought in the other one and did a comparison. Now I'm bringing this other one, and I can go through and catch a version on this one too. So now I've got 3 comparisons. Now, if I have some biases on this, like I would rather feed less dry matter pounds a plus and maybe a little more meal. And then I was about 60 pounds of dry matter. So maybe what I need to do is if I highlight this deal here and hit the minus sign and do minus 0.47, enter. Now I'm at 60 again right here, and I can go through and catch a version here too. So now I've got 4. I can even go back to the optimizer and say, I only got bin space for 2 of these. What am I going to take out? So I'm going to get rid of the meal. And then I can come through and say, I'm going to need more plus and maybe more canola. And so now I can optimize around here. I think it'll let me do this. So again, now I can just rerun this. And so this is a way, the shadow pricing is fixing you into 2 thought patterns, crude protein and NEL. What I'm asking the computer and the optimizer, and you can hunt and peck and save a version at any time, to give me some better options, trying to maximize milk production. I don't want to give up milk, but I'd love to minimize costs by using some of these byproducts. Again, we could have included corn gluten feed, distillers, anything else you want to put in there, and then keep running these scenarios. What we need to do as soon as we get done here and choose one of these, I'm going to choose, so usually your best fit is the closest here, but you can scoot on down here. Here's the cost, and here's the milk production here. And I can go in here and limited down here, if I wanted to go 99, or if I wanted to limit to 100.5, I can limit the ME and the MP supply. But what I'm going to do is take this one here, also move it into solution, take it this way. And again, I'm asking the computer to help me think through this, and is there a better option? So when I get them all over here and I catch a version here, then I can go into comparison. Now what it does is it shows me the 4th and 5th. But if I go to versions here, I can choose any 2 to save or to compare. What I love to do is do the last versus the first. So now I can see I'm 60. I took a little more dry matter pounds here. Here's my cost. I just caught 22 cents out of the diet. If I did my due diligence on the setup, I'm making 22 cents income over feed costs. So I'm cutting cost, and that's reflective right here. So what I can do is I can go to show all now, and here are all my diets lined up. There is a step back behind there. I can show you that real quick while we're looking here. So if I go back to that versions, I can go in here and put in present ration. And then I could put any versions, high soy, high canola, whatever, deleting those and running the optimizer hunting and pecking. But you can redo your headers here so that when you go to the show all, they will appear right here across the top. So this is a powerful look now at all the comparisons. I can look at allowable milk across the board here. I was pretty much 100 and 100, and now I'm doing 103, 108. Again, I should probably hold this all down to 60 pounds of dry matter. But even this diet that we ran was at 60 pounds, and I'm at 102, 106. So maybe what I need to do is really dig in and look at this thing. But again, taking out 500-pound cotton or $500 cotton is a no-brainer. We're just using that for a low-hanging fruit today. But here's the big thing, the total cost per head. And so if we scoot down through here, looking at our comparisons and then looking at our income over feed cost per head, this is a powerful look at a multiple set of diets that you can look at and play with. Now, none of these other versions are saved, so you may need to go back to the version page and call one of those up and then save it. Or you can save all of them. There's a multiple savings option in there too. But let's go back to the show all. There's one cool more feature I'd love to show you before we wrap this up, is that we used to have to export this to Excel, and we started talking, and showing these things, and lo and behold, the programmers came up with, you can make a report. And so I've got a ton of reports. And again, there's a tutorial on this, but it's easy enough to create a new report. Click on the outside buttons that you want to save, and you would probably want to save allowable milk, ME and MP, and then of course, total cost per head and income. But I've created a bunch of reports in here, and let me just do here's a base comparison report. So I'm calling for that report. Now show report. So here is what I can print out. I can take my little highlighter and mark this up and show, a dairyman, a manager, hey, pulling this cotton out is a no-brainer. Look what it does to your cost. Again, what you could do is do a canola ration, soy plus, a distiller's diet, whatever you want. And you can choose to show or not show this. And maybe for producers, dairymen, you don't need to show MP milk, ME allowable milk, and show them, hey, the system is looking at possible milk production. And again, if this group is at 100, 102, wherever they are, we've got pretty good confidence that, hey, if we make some changes here, we should be able to hang tight with our parameters on our diet, not violate the cow at all, and make more money. So again, just looking at how we would do pricing, the shadow pricing thing doesn't do a good job, but using the tools in NDS like the optimizer comparison tab, and then being able to select different feeds, I think we can answer some questions for dairymen that might make sense. I hope this video is helpful to you, and as we get into higher prices and challenging milk prices, this may be a tool you want to use. Thanks for your time.